Howdy, howdy, folks. Once again, it's Donnie here back with you. And for a change of pace today, I want to say a few words about the FTX debacle. And I know that has nothing to do with Linux, but which is the main focus of this channel. But there are some security lessons to be learned here so that y'all can protect yourselves against these types of scams. Okay, so to recap here, FTX in only a few short years went from absolutely nothing to become one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges on planet Earth. A lot of people made money and they were flying high until just a few weeks ago when they can just completely crashed and burn it in such a way that there is no hope for recovery. So a lot of people lost their money, and now people are not happy with them, okay? And people are just shocked, I tell you, that something like this could have happened. Well, I wasn't shocked at all that this happened. What shocked me was the fact that from the very beginning of this company's history, there were warning signs, red flags, that there was something about this company that just was not right, and that maybe they were following a business plan that was not sustainable, okay? So, warning sign number one. At the very beginning of this company's history, okay, so we got a brand new startup company. They hadn't even really done all that much business yet, but yet it seemed like they had a marketing budget that was completely unlimited. So they were buying things like naming rights for major league sports stadiums here in the United States. So if you watch a football game here in the U.S. and you see that the game is coming from FTX Stadium, yeah, that's them. And if you know anything about major league sports in this country, you know that buying advertising with them is not cheap, especially if you want to buy the naming rights for one of their stadiums, okay? Now, the second warning flag is if you would have gone to the website back then to open an account and look at all their terms, you would have found out that they charge no trading fees. Okay, so they're spending a ton of money on advertising and marketing, and and it's just not just the naming rights to the stadium. I'm talking about buying advertising, that feature big name celebrities like Tom Brady, the football star, or Larry David, the comedian and television producer, right? Things like that. Tons of money. Yet they were not charging trading fees. Where does a legitimate centralized crypto exchange make its money? From trading fees, right? That's why when you go to Coinbase and you make a trade, hey, you're going to pay $15 as a fee for that trade. Or Binance, a little bit cheaper, I think it's like $5 for them. But whatever, you're going to pay something for trading fees on legitimate exchanges. Now, there's, without a visible source of income, and by spending that kind of money for marketing, okay, that's a big red flag right there. The next red flag, the next warning sign, Sam Bankman-Fried, who was the 20-something-year-old kid who was the CEO of FTX, was all over the place on television. And he was hobnobbing with government regulators here in the U.S., talking about how the crypto market needs to be regulated. Now, this is at the same time that he's operating his business out of the Bahamas because the Bahamian government did not have regulations. He wanted to set up where there were no regulations, and yet he comes to the United States and he talks about how we need more regulations for his own industry. Now, if you know anything about how this stuff works, you will know that anytime a corporate CEO goes to the government and says, hey, we need more regulations in order to make our industry better, it has nothing to do with making the industry better. It has everything to do with making it more difficult for that company's competitors to stay in the market. So Sam Bankman-Fried operating out of the Bahamas where U.S. regulations didn't apply, and yet he was trying to get more regulations here in the U.S. So, big red flag there too, right? And then, of course, we have other red flags, like all the money he was spending out for charity. And you find out, too, he was spending a lot of money donating it to one particular political party here in this country. I don't want to mention names because this is not a political channel. I don't want to go there, okay? But he was donating a lot of money to this one particular political party that just happened to be in charge of Congress and the White House. So, whole bunch of red flags there, right? And you know, again, anytime a corporate CEO donates a lot of money to any political party, I don't care which one it is, that person is expecting something back. He's expecting some sort of benefit in return. It's just not altruistic because he believes in the mission of the party or anything like that, right? So, another red flag, right? Now, since the crash and burn of FTX, we've learned a whole lot more. We've learned not only was just a company whose CEO didn't really know how to manage things and things like that. This involved a whole lot of criminality. And that money that he was donating to the political party, that was laundered money. Because this political party that was controlling Congress at the time, they were passing a whole lot of spending bills, which were sending money, talking tens of billions of dollars with each bill, to the government of Ukraine as aid. And then, come to find out that the president of Ukraine was investing a lot of that money with FTX. So, there's one explanation of where his money was coming from, right? Not legitimate. We also know now that the Automated Research, which was kind of like a sister company to FTX, they were taking a lot of the funds that people were depositing in FTX and basically just gambling with the funds and losing them, right? So it was bad all the way around. So when you see something like this comes up, one basic rule that you got to keep in mind is that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And in this case, you saw this high-flying company that could spend all this money on advertising, and they weren't charging trading fees. Oh, that's a great company, right? No, that's a company that's too good to be true. So just keep that in mind, okay? Anytime anything like this comes up, I don't care what it is. So, but there are other aspects of it too, okay? And this is kind of like there's kind of like a tie-in to early internet history with this, okay? And there are a lot of reasons, possible reasons, that this happened. And if there are not reasons that it happened, at least our governments are going to take advantage of it, okay? And, governments hate for people like you and me, for just normal people, to have financial privacy or financial freedom. They love having it for themselves, but they don't want us to have it. And there's been a war on financial freedom and financial privacy for a very long time. That's why we have all these KYC rules, know your customer, for any time you open up a bank account, and anytime you make a financial transaction at your bank that's more than $10,000, they have to report that to the government. And even if you make a series of transactions that are just a little bit less than $10,000, that gets reported to the government too, and then the government comes after you and say, hey, you are deliberately trying to avoid our laws here, so we're just going to confiscate your bank account. They have done this. They have done this to small business owners who just happen to be depositing sums slightly less than $10,000, repeatedly, because that's just what they had to deposit, right? So then it takes years and years of court action to get any of that money back, if they get it back at all, right? And a lot of times when the government says, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and give it back to you, but we're only going to give a portion back because of all the court fees, fines, whatever, right? Like, what? The person did no crime, right? But this particular case here, it's going to be used now in order to crack down on the crypto market. It's going to be used to crack down on the financial freedom that cryptocurrency is supposed to give us, right? And, they've been trying for a long time. Yeah, the major centralized exchanges have the KYC, and the European Union has been trying to pass laws that require even or that would require even the publishers of non-custodial type crypto wallets that you install on your own computer to have KYC in them, right? And they're meeting a lot of resistance. But they're going to use something like this. They're going to use FTX as an example of why they need to crack down on our financial freedom even more in the crypto markets. Now, I said a moment ago that there's kind of a tie-in here with early internet history. And that's because back in the 90s, we went through the same thing with just encryption on websites. And back in the 90s, the United States government considered strong encryption technology as a munition. And they made it illegal for any web browser to include encryption technologies that could use better than 40-bit encryption. Now, back then, we're talking about computers that had like 66 megahertz 486 processors, or like 100 megahertz Pentium processors, things like that. They weren't very powerful processors, but even the processors back then could crack 40-bit encryption fairly easily. Not that hard, right? So there are a lot of rebels in the encryption space. Phil Zimmerman especially. What Phil Zimmerman did, he was real clever, right? The government says, hey, we can't allow foreign governments to get hold of this technology, so they prohibited the inclusion of the strong encryption technology in products that would be exported to other countries. So Phil Zimmerman says, okay, well, I'll just publish my source code for my strong encryption technologies in a book, and I will export that to other countries. And then if they come after me, I will say, hey, I have First Amendment rights here. I can publish this if I want to. Well, long story short, the rebels ended up winning. So now we have strong encryption technologies in everything. And so I'm thinking, if the rebels hold true here with the cryptocurrency, yeah, we're going to win this war too. We're going to have our financial freedom, and Bitcoin, not the best way to do it, okay, because it is an open blockchain that everybody can see. Your best bet, use privacy coins. A whole bunch of them out there you can look at. Monero, Pirate Chain, WowNero. Dero is like a private replacement for Ethereum, a whole bunch of them, right? So these are the kinds of technologies that government, right now, they can't spy on us with them, and they can't control them because they're decentralized, okay? So yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got to think smart here. Got to be a rebel, right? But anyway, the big takeaway here, I just wanted to tell everybody, is look for the warning signs anytime any new projects like this come up. Yeah, the cryptocurrency space, yeah, it's still fairly new. It's like the wild, wild west, and I'm not in favor of government regulations. I am in favor of educating people so that they can look for the scams and avoid the scams and protect their money. And also, if at all possible, keep your crypto in your own wallets, on your own computers. Yeah, sometimes we need the centralized exchanges, but yeah, if we can at all possible avoid using them, yeah, do it. Use decentralized exchanges instead. Use your own wallets on your own computers. And if you want to use Bitcoin, there are some privacy type wallets available. Samurai is probably the best one. And yeah, they can help keep the Bitcoin a little bit more private than what it is inherently. Okay, so yeah, that's all I got. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you're a Linux administrator who's interested in improving your skills, or if you want to be a Linux administrator, want to learn more about it, check out my books. Purchase links are in the video description below. So thanks for watching. I will see you next time.